Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another great episode of Beyond Emissions podcast. At Beyond Emissions YouTube channel, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Hit the reminder bell in the corner so that you can be a part of our ongoing conversation. Also as well, email me, beyondemissionschannel at gmail.com. Put your comments right there in the YouTube video. Feel free to reach out to us, and we'd like to have you be a part of this conversation. It's not just a one-way street because we can't do it ourselves. It's everybody involved. There's so many different aspects, and obviously the overarching principle of the program is, what is it going to be like someday to live in a world beyond emissions? Imagine that, right? Imagine what that's going to be like. But also as well, how do we get there? And of course, we've been talking with experts around the country and around the world about different emerging new innovative technologies that will help us get there, and very excited. Now, on our energy news portion of the broadcast that we just put out on the Beyond Emissions YouTube channel today, we talked about an investment offshore wind generation and how exciting that is. It's energy available 24/7 for us, and it's done in a clean and efficient way. Well, they've been doing wind energy all the way back in, Holland, Amsterdam, the Dutch wind energy technology that was just built, hundreds of years ago. And it wasn't designed to make electricity. It was designed to turn an actual drive shaft that would make work happen, whether it's grinding mill or whatever it might be for machinery or what have you. Well, I had a gentleman call me today, and I felt what a great opportunity to bring this to the table for Beyond Emissions. His name is Theo, and Zoepemelk is what his last name is, which means sweet milk in Holland. And he's on the program with us. He's from Theo's Wood Shop, lives down in Riverside. And we're going to talk about how this all came about, the project he's working on. His project wasn't just designed for beyond emissions and creating electricity. That was just something cool he did with it. It was actually something that he created for his wife for their 50th wedding anniversary. So this story is just so much more than the environment, living in a world beyond emissions, new renewable energy sources. We're looking back at a time, he drew this from technology that was prior to the electrical grid even being around, and he updated it. Well, let him tell this story. Welcome to the program, Theo. Are you working in your wood shop today? Welcome to Beyond Emissions.
Yeah, we're still doing some work.
Yeah, to let our listeners know who you are and where you're from.
Well, I was actually born in Holland, and a lot of water, a lot of boats, a lot of windmills. It's in an area where there was abundance of windmills, and I just loved windmills. They kept turning and turning and doing their job. And the windmill that I built later on over here in Norco, California, was actually a replica of the one that we had in our village. And that was pumping water out of the lowlands into the higher elevations to keep they call it a polder, the lowlands, where they had crops or animals, feeding on grass and stuff, keep the water level up to a certain height. And the bigger the area, the more windmills they had on it. So I just loved the windmills. But I came here the first time in 1953 with the whole family of 12. And I was the last one, the last born of the 12. So I was the Benjamin of the whole group. And so we moved to California. And then after, we're going to school, try to learn English and all of that. My dad didn't really like it over here because it was too hot for him over here in California. So what happened was, he was a big, tall guy, and they had in the 1953, 54, 55, they had heat waves and he just could not stand it. They didn't have air conditioning in those days that they have now. And I remember when I went to school over here in California, in actually it was Artesia, they had chicken ranches all over the place. And one time it was so hot, it was like 122 degrees outside. Heaps of chicken farmers, all the chickens died, and they heaped them up as high as a house. They were all dead because they had corrugated roofs on top of the cages where they had the chickens, and no water going on, sprinklers or anything like that. So they just died. So my dad got frustrated, and he says, "I'm going to go back to Holland. I can't stand this damn heat," he says. So he took the two youngest kids, that was me, I was the youngest, and my brother, who was a year and a half older than I was. We went back to our village and got situated over there. I had to go back to school again. My mother came later on, my sister, my brother and stuff. But some of them left again and went back to California. They liked California very well. So then when I grew up over there in Holland again, I had to go back to school, had to go to trade school, went in the army. Then I met a girl in Brabant, that's another province, and when I was in the army over there, I then later on married her and moved over to California, and she was very homesick in all of those in those years that we were over here. So I was like a psychiatrist talking her into, it's such nice over here.
Yes, you're being a salesman, huh?
I had to, but later on she says, I sent her, and we also went back many a times because she also came from a big family of 13. So there was, a lot of homesickness with that she had. For me, it wasn't a problem because I had my family over here, most of them. So, my trade in Holland was not a windmill maker or any of that. I was a boat builder, a wooden boat builder, sailboats mostly. And that is actually my trade. And I went back into the trade again in California, making small vessels like dinghies for power boats. But I went into fiberglass because that was the trend, fiberglass boats. But that's the way it was. But coming back to the windmill, she always wanted to have a little windmill over here. I said, one of these days I'll build you a windmill. So I said, when we both retire, I'll build you one. So that's a lot of years now. So I made a 6-foot replica of what I was going to build. And I didn't tell her what the size was actually that I was going to build. And she said, "Oh, I like this, this 6-footer, that's beautiful." I said, "But that's not the one you're going to get." I said, "I'm going to build you a 40-footer. And she thought I was nuts. So looking at the whole thing, maybe I was nuts because it was a lot of work. And I had people from Holland that I went to school with. They sent me pictures from windmills. They took pictures from the inside and all of that. So it gave me an idea of, how to really build an authentic windmill. That's what it is. That's what I built. When you see it, all the gears and brakes and all of that stuff, shaft, all of that stuff is, like they have in Holland. So that's the way it was. But the hard part was to get a permit here in Norco, where I live now, and that was so hard that it's a horse town, and who wants to have a windmill in a horse town? So we built the little one, took it up to the council, and they said, nah, we'll give you a permit for the little one, but not for a big one, you know. And then my wife says, okay, let's forget it. You're not going to get a permit. We'll be happy with the little one. I said, no. I said, I'm Dutch. I don't give up that easy.
Right on.
So,
yes. Dutch persistence in the house. I love it, Theo.
Exactly. So we had a lady in the audience that I didn't know was from the newspaper. And she was in there with her little computer writing all the stuff down, what was said and all of that. And then every time we had a council meeting or a planning commission, she was sitting there writing. And then the next day in the paper it says, no, he was denied. It wasn't horsey enough, you know, and stuff like that. So people in Norco were getting the feel, you know, they were trying to not have that windmill built. So finally, I decided to call Sacramento, the energy department, and they told me kind of how I had to, you know, get the permits and how to talk to them and, you know, on all of that stuff. So I did my homework, and then finally it came to the day of the permit, if we were really going to be able to build that windmill. So we went for the big council with the mayor and all of the people, and they also had a chicken thing going, actually a rooster thing. They wanted to cut the rooster population down in Norco because they had cockfights and all of that. So they were, it was wall-to-wall people in that council meeting. And then, of course, they had two things going, me and the rooster people. So you have to fill out a little card, and you put your name on it if you're for or against it and stuff. And then the council, the mayor, will call up a person's name and say, why are you for it, and this and that. And even Edison came and vouched for me. You know, it's good for the environment, you know, if he wants to produce electricity out of it.
Wow, so stuff. You got the utility, Southern California Edison came and vouched for you. Wow.
Oh, yeah. You know, that's what I said. I called Sacramento. They told me what to do. So, but they did tell me that Riverside was the hardest county to get a permit for something like that. But again, we had so many people vouch for us. And then, this is real crazy. I coach my little granddaughter. Now, she's 3 years old, and she loved to have a microphone in her hand and sing and stuff like that. I used to babysit her a lot. And I said, you want to help Opa? And Opa is what we are in Holland, you know, grandfather. And I said, you want to help Opa? She says, okay, Opa, what do you want me to do? I said, I'll coach you what to say. When we're going to go to the council meeting, you don't have to be scared of all these people. You grab the microphone and talk. So this is what I taught her. The last card, unbelievable, the last card was her name. Braylon is her name. And so my daughter, when they called her up, my daughter had her on her shoulders, and she says, will Braylon please come forward? So they thought my daughter was going to talk, you know, and no. She grabbed the little phone handle, and she says, my name is Braylon. Can you please give Opa a permit to build you the windmill? Thank you very much. And man, we had people in the audience clap, and it was very emotional.
Who's going to tell a cute little girl no, basically?
I know.
Oh, how smart of you, and what a sweetheart she is.
I know. So the mayor says, let's vote. So they were all for it.
I bet.
And the next day in the newspaper it says, Norco, how did she say it? That they approved, you know, that they approved the windmill. And that was so nice that I didn't even know the lady, you know, she was so nice. she was like a ghost type in the back someplace, and all of a sudden I get things in the newspaper from her. So the Horstown, USA went for the windmill.
Oh, that's beautiful. Theo Zoepemelk, which means sweet milk in Holland.
Yep.
He's with Theo's Woodworking and telling us about a official windmill, an exact replica, 40-foot tall. It's down in Norco, California, Riverside County, and it's just like the windmills from his home country in Holland, and it down to the spec. I mean, it's beautiful. I saw it's a piece of art, and in addition, it actually produces renewable energy. You talked to me about that this morning. And by the way, folks, if you'd like to contact Theo, he's Theo's Woodworking down in Norco, California. Look him up. The story about his windmill is amazing. It was a romantic gesture for his wife for their 50th wedding anniversary. She's thinking she's getting a little 6-foot replica, but no, perseverance kicks in, a good old-fashioned Dutch perseverance, and of course the sweet-talking, beautiful little granddaughter of yours, Braylon, that was able to get up there and grab that microphone and ask for OPA to be able to get a permit to build this thing. And wow, it's been approved. And Beyond Emissions is about creating green, sustainable, renewable energy. And they've been doing this in Holland for years, utilizing the power of the wind. And so this is a functional windmill as well, not just a piece of art. Talk a little bit about the construction of this beautiful piece of art that is also functional too.
Well, we had to build it because we have a lot of earthquakes here in California. So in Holland, they are completely made out of oak and big beams and even wooden shafts in the early days. But I had to go towards a more of an earthquake-proof situation. So we had steel beams and a lot of steel gears in that windmill. Steel rotors, on the outside, and but we had to make it authentic looking, so we put all kinds of things in it from wood. It looks like it's all made out of wood. The head is made out of plywood, cut round. Glued up, because I'm a boat builder. I know how to glue stuff, and the head turns all the way around if you wanted to turn it. So it's it's a beautiful piece of art. Actually, we have people coming driving by, and all of a sudden you see them stop and take pictures. So, and then one of these days we're going to have an open house. Everything is done now inside the windmill. We have, of course, it's a 2-story. One has the gears up on top, second story, and then the bottom we have a beautiful floor in it. We just finished. We have tables and chairs and stuff. And then another thing I did, because it's a 9-foot ceiling, I wanted to put something about 36 inches or 38 inches down from the ceiling down. And what I did the last time I was in Holland, I found my wife bought me a booklet of windmills, and there was a painting in there, and it was from the 1850s. It wasn't made in the 1850s, but it was a picture of the 1850s, and it has water, houses, old-fashioned fishing boats that matter of fact, one of them, a big one that I used to work on to make a houseboat out of in Holland when I grew up, and a couple of guys fishing in smaller boats, and it's just beautiful. And I said, wouldn't that be something if we put that on the ceiling all the way around, not on the ceiling, but right underneath the ceiling. And she says, but it's only 10 feet tall, 10 feet long, that picture. I said, well, you got computers, you can Photoshop and all of that. And then what we did, we mirror imaged part of that picture, and that picture, all of those pictures had to be connected to each other, and we had to make it 32 feet long to get that in there. But the angle is not like a barrel, that it is completely round. No, it's octagon, and it caves in on top, going slanted in on top. So we had to take pies out and then Photoshop it, take pies out and Photoshop. And I had a guy from India that is very good in computers, a young guy. I sat with him for hours every night just to get it photoshopped and make it all work, you know. And that's in there now too. So when you walk in the door and you look up, you're like in the middle of a lake looking at all these boats and windmills and fishing boats, and it is just beautiful.
Your culture is beautiful as well, and I'm so thankful that we're a melting pot in the United States, that we get to benefit from cultures like the Dutch culture in Holland, from around the world, other cultures too. But how special that, you know, we're a country that's a melting pot where we get to appreciate all these different cultures, and this artwork inside of the giant, you know, 40-foot windmill, it's more than
beautiful.
Wow, it's almost like walking into a like a time shifter, like you're walking in, right? Like in Star Trek, where they walk through the little window and they go to a different place, they go to a different time, like a wormhole almost. Like you get to experience time travel almost, right?
Yeah, you walk in. You think you're in the middle of the lake. You look up and say, holy mackerel, all these boats and fishing boats and windmills. Your head can turn all the way around. And I mean, it's just beautiful. And when you sit there, it's so peaceful. I do a little reading over there, you know, let my mind, you know, go free and stuff. It's just beautiful. Even my wife likes it.
And you built it for her. I mean, that's the coolest part about it. A 50th wedding anniversary. That must have made her so happy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I let her do the inside. I let her put the pictures inside. She has ledgers, you know, that she can put little pictures on from windmills and stuff like that from Holland. So she's very, very happy with it.
And now from a functionality standpoint, by the way, Theo from Theo's Wood Shop, Woodworking, here with us. Zoepemelk, sweet milk in Holland is what that means. Very cool last name. Okay, so Theo, this is Beyond Emissions YouTube channel. Like this video, subscribe, folks. And this is a great story. Cool piece of art as well. But what's cool about it is it's actually functional. This system is actually producing electricity. Let's talk a little bit about that. That's what you reached out to me. And by the way, thank you for reaching out. I want to give Don a thank you for making that connection with us.
Tell him,
tell our listeners about the project, and, you know, kind of how you started to electrify this system, and working with Don and what he recommended, and what we talked about today.
Yeah. So what actually happened was that, you know, you could produce electricity and then put it in a battery banks and pull from there, and, you know, run a refrigerator, you know, in the boondocks, let's say, you know, off grid. But because we have already solar panels, I thought, you know, wouldn't it be nice if we can have that stuff produced, go underground from the windmill into the grid, you know? So that's what my main deal was. So I found that I made a lot of mistakes. I found that it can be done. So what I did, I dug a trench from my meter box from the house to the windmill, and I also laid cables for the lights in the windmill that comes from the house. And then I also took that and brought it back into the windmill, let's say. So now we had to find a system, and I got that from wind and solar from Missouri, and they do the little windmills, you know, the that is on top of roofs or poles and all of that stuff. So I talked to the guys over there. They were very helpful, but they told me it had to be a 24-volt inverter. And so I called the Outback people from the inverter, and they said, no, you can use 12 volt, So then I bought all the stuff for it, and then I got to find out you have to be at least 24 volt to do that. So I had to change all my stuff again, a new inverter, all the stuff that you need to change that. So I did all of that, and now actually it's ready for 24 volt to make electricity. So I already produced electricity out of it, but this is more efficient now. I didn't want a battery bank. I wanted to go straight into the house, just like the solar. I don't have to look at it anymore. If the wind comes up, I pull the big rope outside, unleash the brake, and the windmill goes and turns. It activates the generator, and it goes through all the batteries. They still have to have batteries because you have to activate the batteries for the inverter. Goes into the inverter that gets it from DC to AC, and then goes into the grid.
Oh, and what about, you mentioned something regarding, and by the way, folks, again, Theo from Theo's Woodworking is with us, Theo Zoepemelk, sweet milk in Holland. He's teaching me Dutch here today, and you as well, Beyond Emissions YouTube channel. Like this video and subscribe. This is an awesome podcast, living history to have you here with us, an artist, boat builder by trade, but he's built a over 40-foot tall windmill that actually creates electricity, and it's also a beautiful piece of art. Now, to get it to create electricity, did I hear you say something today on the phone regarding like a cement truck, some parts that you took from? Talk a little bit about that. That's very innovative.
Yeah, I could understand why they say in Holland that I couldn't produce electricity out of it, because they have big gears and they have wooden cogs coming out of those big round, drums like, and you don't get any RPMs. It goes clickety 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 click, when you're in a windmill and the thing is on. So what I needed something with more gears, and the only way I could figure it out is get a big cement mixer gear that I got from a cement mixer outfit, and I put that in, and I put a small gear on it. So all of a sudden, when that starts turning, you get a lot of RPMs already. But I didn't get enough RPMs for, to generate electricity. So I had to put a small gearbox in it, 1 to 5, gives it more RPMs, and I've got about 2,000 RPMs to generate electricity. That's how I did it.
Wow. And you go and see this thing, folks, in Norco, California, in Riverside County. Just Google it right now if you're listening. Type in Norco Windmill, and you'll see Theo's windmill, or actually your wife's windmill, right?
Don't get me in trouble.
Oh my gosh, it's so authentic. I saw a picture of it in the report that I looked up this morning that you talked about, Theo, and all the way down to the wooden shoes. Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah, we have those too. Yeah,
it's culture, it's history, and in addition, it's got future technology in it that's available today. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. I had to do a lot of thinking to make that work.
Right. And in a sense, fighting, cajoling, utilizing, being very creative, and utilizing your granddaughter Braylon to get up there and talk to the city council. Everything that you did shows that it was meant to happen. Sometimes in this life, it's almost like we get a resistance that says, no. But deep in your heart, when you know it's supposed to happen, You don't give up, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, it was very emotional with that little one because she sure helped me out.
That is so cute. When
She paid me back.
when did you get it completed as far as the construction? I know that you're still doing some work with it, like we discussed this morning regarding some different batteries and stuff.
It took me 4 years actually to finish the windmill. And I did it mostly myself. I had some nephews come over and, help lift this or lift that. But the digging of the foundation, the bending the all the steel in there and all of that stuff, I had to do most of it myself because I couldn't afford to hire all kinds of people to do that, You're limited with money, so it took over 4 years to do the big one. But with the little one, I had to figure all of that stuff out because the little one is 6 scale. In other words, all the stuff that I did at the little one, I multiplied it by 6 to get a 40 footer,
Right, right.
So first I had to get the little one done right and measurement, and then from there, I made the big one, but also the permits were, we had to get an architect, and I found that guy in our church, and I told him about the project. He said, "Oh, I want to help. So I said, "Okay, whatever I build, you put it on paper, and with those papers, we go to the city, and every time we need another permit, you go with me too." And that's how we did it. As I was building it, he was drawing it. So that was the key thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
When
it
God
took over
ordained
15 years.
When God ordains something in our life, funny thing you mentioned that you're the youngest of 12, so you're the Benjamin in the group.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was
Benjamin.
just listening to Chuck Swindoll preaching a little bit earlier, talking all about the story of Joseph and his brothers. So funny that you mentioned that, but exactly,
Yeah.
God knows what He's doing in the big picture of things. And
Yeah, my mother called me that, the Benjamin.
that's what she called you? How cool!
Yeah, Benjamin. Yeah. That was the last one of the 12. So
My wife mentioned to me when I talked about your story and what you were doing today, she goes, "Wow, like something that you would see in Solvang." And I said, I don't know if you know where Solvang is.
I've never been there, but I had heard of it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they would be jealous to have what you've created there.
Yeah, those are the Danish windmills. Yeah. Yeah, we're just a little bit different than them.
Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, it's
No.
Oh my gosh. A little bit of cultural appropriation. Sorry about that. I just combined your countries like it was no big deal.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm a little prejudiced.
I love it. And I'm very thankful that you called me today. Don, I remember working on some projects with him as well. By the way, folks, you're listening to Beyond Emissions YouTube channel podcast. Make sure you like this video, subscribe. Thanks so much to Theo Zoepemelk, which means sweet milk in Holland, here with us today on the program.
Zoepemelk. Say it right. Zoepemelk.
Zoepemelk. There we go. Did I say that better?
Yeah.
When you know,
that's better.
When you know better, you do better, like Maya Angelou said, right? Theo's woodworking. Do you offer your woodworking skills to the general public, or is it just a private thing?
No, I'm retired. I'm getting too old for any of that stuff. But I taught my boy how to do fiberglass, how to do woodworking, and all of that. So the thing will keep going. So.
Now, I have to ask all my guests this because Beyond Emissions was created, this podcast was created because I have a dream that for my kids and grandkids someday that they can grow up in a world that doesn't have emissions, that with a clean environment. And, that there's a way to do that that doesn't have to require we lack in our economy or our resources, because I believe God has given us all the resources in the world that we could ever need. Especially when it comes to renewable energy, it's all available to us without having to burn up fossil fuels. And that doesn't make me anti-oil. I'm not castigating anybody here, but we're looking forward to that world. That's the reason why this show exists. So in your mind, I know you have similar ideals as well, and wanting a clean environment and to be able to potentially have a world that is beyond emissions someday. In your mind, what would that world look like, versus the world that we live in today?
Well, it's the same as it is now. The only thing is not the technology is not quite there yet. It takes time to have smart people figure things out and slowly get into, go into the new technology, the environment. Let's say you can have less oil or less this, less that, but you still need, you need oil and fossil fuels to breach that particular time.
Right.
And what the economy is doing right now, they're jumping the gun. Slow down, let the industry take care of itself, and make it so that we have the technology to make the change. You can't change it overnight. You can't say, I'm going to go on a diet tomorrow and not eat for a whole year. You eat less, or you eat healthy and stuff like that. And later on, you'll figure this thing out. It takes time to make changes. And I think the people in, I'm sorry to say this, but the woke people right now want to change it right now, but they don't change themselves.
Right.
They still fly. They still do what they do. They still, they really look down on us. They want us to change. No, they have to change too. And when those people change, you'll see that we have a better, a better country.
I agree.
It takes time.
What is good for the goose should be good for the gander, and that makes total sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It takes time to make the changes. And that's how I always thought it was, yeah.
I saw a story the other day in the news talking about how all of the railways, all of the trains that are moving around Holland are powered by renewable energy right now, not being powered by fossil fuels. Yeah.
But they couldn't do that 50 years ago.
Nope.
So it takes time to develop all of that stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Like a bridge.
Give it time. Yeah, give it time and let's let it happen as it goes. Don't push it, because when you push it, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, we don't want to destroy industries that in the meantime we can't live without, and pretending that we can just live without it. Yeah, and I made sure I make sure to let people know that we're not demonizing oil. I mean, imagine where we would be without the internal combustion engine and the technology that has come from fossil fuels.
Exactly.
I mean, just in chemistry alone. You mentioned fiberglass. Isn't that derived from chemistry derived from oil?
Exactly. It's all those are all from fossil fuels, And I used to make fiberglass boats and stuff. And then when Carter came in, I was using 10 drums of resin a week to build my little boats and stuff. When he got into office, I guess he got mad at the Arabs or something. I don't know. I wasn't in politics or anything. But all of a sudden, I was only allowed 1 drum a week. So that cuts your business down, almost 90%, and that's what I'm saying. These people don't think. And he was a peanut farmer. He should be thinking about, you take 90% away from his peanuts, he'll say, what the hell did I do? He didn't think that, right?
Right.
And that's what it is. It takes time to not get mad at each other, help each other out, make it work.
And by the same token, You have folks on the other side that are fossil fuels only, and they laugh and joke about when a renewable energy system goes down in Texas during a freeze. It's like, wait a minute, that's the wrong attitude as well, right?
Yeah, no, I that's what I'm saying. You know, you have to balance things out, and you have to talk about it and see what is the best for the country to make that bridge. It'll come, but it takes time.
It does. It does. And you have taken a step in the right direction. In addition, you brought a lot of attention to renewable energy by creating not just a functional windmill, but a piece of art that folks can, I imagine, you remember Hauser, he passed away a while ago, and you still see him. Oh, California Gold. It's one of my favorite shows. Oh, my wife and I.
He was a good guy.
Oh my gosh, look over here. It's a windmill. Like I could see him at your property with his microphone and his cameraman. I could just imagine it, right?
He would have been here if he was still alive.
Yep.
He would have been here.
What a good dude, man. That guy, what a special person. And
he was all over the place.
And he pointed out regular folks and made them, important. Nobody was beneath him. And I always take that to heart when I'm doing my broadcasting. Yeah, no,
he was a good guy. Well, that sounds good.
Well, you have been a blessing to me today. Thank you for taking your time with our audience here at Beyond Emissions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Departing words, anything that you would like to share with our audience? And also, they might want to go down and check it out. I don't know if you want to have busloads of people stopping off at your property, but...
Well, I don't think it's going to be busloads, but if somebody wants to come over and give me a call, and I'll show them the inside and see what we created, And Norco is a beautiful small town. Lots of horses, lots of horse trails. I made some songs about Norco, and that's also on YouTube. And my name is on it, and then it gives you different songs that I made. Made one for my little granddaughter, Italy, that she helped me with the council. I gave my wife a song for her 50th wedding anniversary. And, little things like, I like to create and when I croak, that's still there.
It'll still be there and it'll still be beautiful. And, frankly, because of this whole story, I believe that it's a piece of history and it should be protected as well. I think it's amazing.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Hang on the line for our engineers. It's just me, myself, and I. So I hope all three of us will be right with you. Thank you very, very much, Theo. I'll be right with you, Theo. Thanks for joining us on Beyond Emissions. Hang on the line, sir.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome.
Theo Zoepemelk. I know I probably said that wrong, but it is sweet milk in Holland. Theo's woodworking, and he's amazing. Down in Norco, California. Google, if you want to see his windmill, Google Norco Windmill. And you'll see Theo's windmill, the whole story. Channel 7 down in Riverside County did a great story on it. You can see the actual windmill in the flesh working, creating electricity, but also a beautiful piece of art. What a great show today. Really a culture, not just renewable energy. We combine the two today. Thank you for joining us. Another great episode, Beyond Emissions Podcast. Imagining a world of what it'll be like to live in a world beyond emissions, and also as well, how do we get there? And this guy has really brought attention to wind energy and generating renewable energy from a renewable resource that is always there. It's always available. They've been utilizing it all the way back hundreds of years ago in his home country of Holland. And now he's got his 60-footer giant, beautiful windmill. It's a piece of art. Go check it out in Norco, California. Theo, thanks for being on the show. show today. Thank you for listening to us. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, Beyond Emissions YouTube channel. Hit that reminder button to be a part of the ongoing conversation. And thanks for helping us to get to a world that is beyond emissions.